Do you want to buy UNLV basketball? Well, Josh Pastner has a deal for you. What's up? This is Technically Correct with Tyler Bischoff, and on today's show, you're not going to believe it, but Josh Pastner said something that got him in trouble yet again. So first off, I blew it. Back on May 22nd, I had Josh Pastner on Technically Correct, and on May 22nd, Josh Pastner said that he would love if somebody bought UNLV basketball for $10 to $12 million. Specifically said, don't spend billions of dollars buying an NBA team for Vegas. Buy UNLV basketball instead. Said that 2 months ago on this show, and I blew it because I didn't do anything with it. And now that's gone viral this week because he said it somewhere else. If you didn't see, Josh Pastner was on TV this week. I'm sorry, I forgot who he was actually on with, that it blew up. But he was on TV this week, and he said, hey, don't buy an NBA team for Vegas, buy UNLV basketball for $10 to $12 million. And it took off online, right? It absolutely became viral. It's a college basketball coach saying, come buy my program. We're really cheap. We're cheaper than an NBA team. And it spread so far, got popular enough that Josh Pastner had to put out a statement saying that the team wasn't actually for sale, that he was kidding about the ownership part. But you can still donate to UNLV basketball to help them out. And first off, I don't know, probably shouldn't be surprised by this, but Pastner coming out and saying, hey, you can buy UNLV basketball, and then people apparently taking it seriously because Pastner had to put out a statement. I mean, he's only putting out a statement because somebody took it too seriously, right? Did somebody try to buy UNLV basketball for $10 million? That'd be fun. But then he had to put out a statement saying, no, guys, I was joking about the whole ownership of UNLV basketball. Please give me money, though. But it's funny, just in the context of Josh Pastner, because if you've listened to Josh Pastner, whether it's been on this show, whether it's been on a TV station, whether it's been just a press conference that he's done, whatever, maybe you've met him. He talks forever. He is always talking. He talks too much for his own good. And he's destined to say something that gets him in trouble. Or whatever. This isn't really trouble, but whatever you'd like to call it. He's a lot like a radio host, right? If you've got to talk, and especially if you've got to give opinions for 3 hours every day, you're destined to say something that gets you in trouble. You're going to say dumb things. It's going to happen. And that's Pastner. He's going to say things that people don't like, or maybe are things he words wrong, or things that actually get him in real trouble, or just this, where it's a joke and kind of not a joke because he does want your money, but a joke about the ownership part. And it's great. I love it. I love Josh Pastner for that, right? Some of his press conferences might go on a little longer than they should, but arm might get tired holding the mic up to his face. But it's great. Overall, phenomenal, because he's always going to give you some sort of answer, and most of the time, a fun answer. And I'll say this, I don't know if it'll actually lead to anything, but Josh Pastner going out and putting a price publicly, putting a price on what he wants to spend on his program is great. Right? And who cares if other people think it's desperate or disrespectful or whatever? To be fair, I haven't actually seen people criticizing him in that regard. But who cares what other people think? UNLV got some publicity off of this, and the head coach made it known, hey, we'd like $10 to $12 million to be really good at basketball and be really competitive. There might be, maybe, some rich people that hear that and say, oh, $10 to $12 million, I can do that. I hadn't thought about it, but that's affordable. I can do it, maybe, or I can do part of that. I can get you halfway there, or a quarter of the way there, something like that, right? And it was presented in a very funny way, right? It might not be appealing to everybody, but hey, you can buy UNLV basketball. You can be the owner of UNLV basketball for $10 to $12 million. That sounds more fun. That sounds more appetizing than I need $12 million to buy this point guard and this small forward, right? Like I need it to compete. Pastors out there saying, hey, you can just own the team, own the program, right? I don't know if it leads to anything, but I kind of like it. And it's a very public-facing statement of, hey, this is how much money we need to be competitive. So I'm on board with it. I think it does illustrate the position UNLV basketball is in, they need $10 to $12 million to be competitive. And not, it doesn't sound like competitive in the Mountain West. I'm expecting UNLV basketball to be competitive in the new Mountain West. Maybe not win it, but, they should be in the top 3 or 4 every season, but they should be in the top 3 or 4. But to be, I guess the level that we deem successful, because if UNLV is the second best team in the Mountain West this year and loses in the Mountain West semifinal and doesn't go to the NCAA tournament, then we're not going to look back and deem that as like a successful season. But going to the NCAA tournament and ultimately winning games in the NCAA tournament, that's what we deem as successful. And Pastner's basically telling us, I need $10 to $12 million to make that happen. And that's sort of the reality. There was a story, I believe, at The Athletic that they put out the same number, 10 million, as like, hey, this is what we're hearing is like the baseline for competitiveness. That if you're going to continually be competitive in college basketball, you need a $10 million roster. Like that's the baseline. You're obviously going to have programs each year that are making significantly less than that have these surprise runs, like that happens in all sports. But if you're going to be consistently competitive, you need a $10 million roster. And UNLV isn't close to that. Like, it sounds like it's not like Pastner's coming out here and saying, oh, we got 6 of the 10, just come in and finish the job. He's saying they need all 10 to 12 million of it. So I think it puts into perspective sort of where UNLV is actually at for this, is that they're $10 to $12 million away from being in that, we can reliably or reasonably expect to go to the NCAA tournament every year or most years, which would be very nice if they could do that. But they need an owner. They need somebody to come in and give them $12 million every year to make that happen. Hopefully something does come out of it, because I would, listen, personally, like as a media member, I would love it if Josh Pastner was successful in the coach of UNLV basketball. He is a fun coach to cover, right? Of all the coaches UNLV has had, he is the most fun to cover. And all the basketball coaches since I've been here, throw in all the football coaches as well, he's the most fun to cover since I've been here. I hope he's good, because then he's here longer. Man, not too good, because then he gets hired by another job. Just a little good, right? That'd be nice. I don't know that it's going to happen. I don't know that he's going to get that $10 to $12 million, and we haven't really seen that he's going to be able to elevate a team that's making $3 or $4 million, or whatever the number actually is, and make them an NCAA tournament team. Maybe they will, but we haven't seen that yet. That's what he's going to have to do, most likely. Now, some more basketball stuff. First off, UNLV has another exhibition scheduled against Missouri. That's going to be on October 29th. UNLV is hosting that one. So 2 exhibitions that UNLV is hosting. BYU on October 24th and Missouri on October 29th. They're exhibitions, but the rule has changed in college basketball, so fans can go to these games. UNLV hasn't announced that yet, but I'm assuming they will be, because, they should be. So those are actually 2 fun opponents to see. It's an exhibition, so that kind of sucks. But the BYU one, there was a report, who was that from? McCombs, RT McCombs, who reported that it's going to be a home-and-home exhibition, which is the funniest thing I think I've said before. The BYU and UNLV going to play an exhibition in Vegas this year and then an exhibition in Provo next year. So, again, schedule it in the regular season, please. Doesn't have to be every year, but give us some UNLV BYU in the regular season. Now, also in Mountain West basketball news, is it news if nothing changed? Mountain West said that they're going to keep the same format for the Mountain West tournament that they have had for years, right? The reason that it's noteworthy is because the Pac-12 is doing a completely different style of conference tournament. So, your normal tournament, right? You have a quarterfinal with 8 teams, and if you have more than 8 teams, you have some play-in games, right? That's what the Mountain West has done. You have the first round, which is 3 games. The bottom 6 teams in the conference play, and then they get into the quarterfinal round, and we go from there, quarterfinal, semi, and final. The way the Pac-12 is going to do it is the way the WCC has been doing it for a while, is the number 1 and number 2 seeds get buys directly to the semifinals. And the number 3 and number 4 seeds get buys directly to the quarterfinals. And then the 5 and 6 seed enter the round before. So every single round, there's only 2 games, because you're playing a team. If you win, you play a team that just had a bye, right? That's the way. It's a ladder type thing. And the whole point of it is that your number 1 and your number 2 seed just have to win 2 games. The whole point is that your best teams win the conference tournament. Generally, you do that because you're going to be a 1-bid conference and you want your best teams to win the tournament. You don't want a 9 seed in your conference winning the tournament because then they're going to be a 16 seed in the NCAA tournament, and you don't want that. You want your best teams winning the tournament. Now, the Pac-12 with Gonzaga and San Diego State is probably going to be a multi-bid league, I would assume, every year. So they, I think, had less reason to do it than the Mountain West. The Mountain West, genuinely, this is a 1-bid conference, right? I mean, there's between New Mexico and Grand Canyon and then maybe UNLV, if they ever get it together. And then, Nevada's had some good seasons. Wyoming has been, there are other programs that can clearly do it. You'll have years where there are 2, if not 3 teams that are NCAA tournament quality, but I think you can really only say, yeah, our tournament champ is going. Outside of that, we might have some bubble teams, but that's about as good as we can expect year to year. And that's the type of conference that should be doing the ladder format, that should be saying, yeah, our 1 seed is going to have to win 2 games. Our 11 seed is going to have to win 8 games to win the conference championship because we don't want them going. We want the 1 seed going. But the Mountain West is not doing that. Differing opinions, and I have both of them. Number 1, I think it's dumb for the Mountain West to not do that format. I think it is better for the conference to do the ladder format where the 1 and 2 seed are straight into the semifinal. I think that is a smarter thing to do for the conference. However, my differing opinion is I'm very glad they chose to stick with the normal format, right? I'm very glad we're going to get an opening round that is 7 versus 10 and 9 versus 8, and then a quarterfinal, semifinal, and final like normal. So you have 6 teams that need to win 3 games in 3 days and 4 teams that need to win 4 games in 4 days. I just like it because that's a normal tournament. I just like it because that is a tournament that is, in a sense, fair, and that is what I want to watch, right? The first round, okay, yeah, the 8-9 seed in the Mountain West, okay, who does care? But when we get to the quarterfinal, and it's 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, and 4 versus 5. I want to watch that because that's what's determining an NCAA tournament berth, and it's not this weird format where, okay, we're going to have the bottom 4 teams play, and then 2 of them advance, and they're going to play 6 and 7 right here, and then all of a sudden you're playing games where it's all right, the 7 seed is playing the 8 seed, and the 6 seed is playing the 9 seed. That's our tournament for today. I don't care. And then the next day, it's the 6 plays the 5 and the 9 plays the 4. And it's I still don't care, right? I want to see the 1 maybe lose to the 8. So I'm glad the Mountain West is keeping the normal format, even if I think it's dumb that they're keeping it. And ultimately, yes, I think it's dumb they're doing it, but I'm glad they're doing the dumb thing because I think the dumb thing is a little bit more fun to watch because college basketball exists because of single elimination tournaments. The reason college basketball is great is because of one big-ass single elimination tournament at the end of the year. We get little ones right before it. Keep them single elimination. That's what makes it fun. I like the idea that, hey, if you win 4 games in 4 days or 3 and 3, you can go to the NCAA tournament no matter what conference you're in. The ladder format is all right, you're going to have to win 7 games in 7 days, and every single team you play is going to be off a bye. It's impossible. That's stupid. Give me the single elimination. It's more fun. One last thing on UNLV basketball. I did some journalism for you. Yes, journalist over here. So if you remember, I got to take you through these steps here. If you remember earlier this year, Sportico reported that the Players Era tournament had not paid all of the teams for playing in it. The Players Era tournament is the non-conference basketball tournament where the tournament pays NIL money to the players of all the teams that play in the tournament. That's the whole reason it exists. They're paying the players. But Sportico reported that UNLV had not gotten paid. They were one of the schools that had not gotten paid by the Players Era tournament. Finally, it took 3 months, but I finally got, through a public records request that should not have taken that long, that UNLV did in fact get paid. On February 18th, UNLV received $750,000, the payment for playing in the Players Era tournament. I don't think this was ever really in question because UNLV agreed to play in the Players Era tournament again this season, and their contract is for 2 more after that. I would be shocked if any athletic department played in a tournament, didn't get paid, and then agreed to play in the tournament again. That would just be stupid. But I can confirm UNLV did get $750,000. There were 2 payments. There was another $250,000 payment that happened earlier, but they did get the full payment, ultimately $1 million, that they were supposed to get for the Players Era tournament. I can't say what happened there, how it got split up among the players, but I can tell you they got the $750,000. So, good for UNLV. They got some money, and they're back in the Players Era tournament again, even though it could go very, very poorly like it did last year. At least they got paid for what happened last year, because last year was a complete disaster. All right. Last thing on the show, that's probably a lie. I say last thing and then end up talking about 3 more things anyways. Almost last thing on the show. This is from Alan Snell of LV Sports Biz. But your public tax dollars, if you live in Las Vegas, are going to the Pac-12. So the LVCVA, who is funded by taxpayer money, they approved giving the Pac-12 $300,000 this year to have the Pac-12 tournament in Las Vegas, and then $300,000 the next season to have the Pac-12 tournament in Las Vegas again. So a 2-year deal worth in total of $600,000 that is going from the LVCVA to the Pac-12. Now, first off, this is not a new concept. The LVCVA has been paying conferences to have their tournaments in Vegas or have their events in Vegas for a while now, probably even before I lived here, whatever, right? The LVCVA manages to pay every sports team or sports event to come to Vegas. It's just what they do. They're going to give you money if you do sports. So it's not a new concept. But I find this one to be hilarious simply because the LVCVA, whether they know it or not, is being extremely shitty to UNLV. Because to recap here, the Pac-12 initially did not want to add UNLV. The Pac-12 raided the Mountain West, and they took 4 other teams. They did not take UNLV in their first round. They thought they were going to be able to get teams to leave the American, like Memphis and South Florida. But those schools refused to leave the American, which meant the Pac-12 came back to the Mountain West to try to get UNLV. Ultimately, UNLV said no. And in large part, or maybe the only reason, UNLV said no and said, we're staying in the Mountain West because the Mountain West agreed to give UNLV a big pile of cash, right? And where was that cash supposed to come from? Well, the Mountain West is supposed to get a whole bunch of money, it's supposed to be $160 million, from the Pac-12 and the schools that were leaving the Pac-12. Poaching fees and exit fees. That was supposed to come in at like $150 million, 150 or 60. I'm forgetting which one it was exactly, right? That's how much the Mountain West was supposed to get. They agreed to give UNLV the biggest chunk of that. Well, UNLV and Air Force, we're going to get the biggest chunk of that money, right? They were the keystone members that the Mountain West was like, we got to keep them. We're going to give them more money than anybody else. So UNLV agreed to stay in the Mountain West largely because they were supposed to get a whole bunch of money from the Mountain West that was coming from the Pac-12. But the Pac-12 decided, no, thank you. We're not paying that. We had a lawsuit. Now we're supposedly having a settlement. It's not finalized, right? I'm pretty sure that hasn't actually officially been finalized. And now the Mountain West is not going to get anywhere near the $150 or $60 million that they were supposed to get. They're getting much less than that, though no one's reported the actual number. It's going to be under $100 million, maybe even under $80 million. We'll see if we ever learn that actual number, but it's significantly less than $150 million. The Pac-12 basically said, we're just not going to pay the money that was going to go to UNLV. We're going to steal your teams, and the teams leaving said, we're just leaving, and we don't think we have to pay you these contractually agreed upon numbers of exit fees and poaching fees. So what that means, the Pac-12 has cost UNLV millions of dollars. Millions. If they had not fought this and just paid what they agreed, UNLV would get millions more, because they were going to get roughly, there was a whole formula, but it was roughly about 23% of every dollar the Pac-12 and the exiting members were going to pay the Mountain West. So this is legitimately millions of dollars for the athletic department whose head coach of basketball is out here saying, please, dear God, we need $10 million. They might have cost them $10 to $12 million. The Pac-12 cost UNLV millions of dollars by choosing to do this. And then the LVCVA is like, you know what? We'd love to take some public money, some taxpayer-funded dollars out of Las Vegas and give it to the Pac-12. They screwed UNLV over? We don't care. Here you go, Pac-12. Here is all the money you could ask for. Oh, you were supposed to pay UNLV millions of dollars? Oh yeah, don't worry about it. We'll give you money. We don't care. The LVCVA is such a whore for any event. They could just say no to this crappy version of the Pac-12. Do we really think Las Vegas needs the Pac-12 men's and women's basketball tournament? No, but the LVCVA is going to give any money to any sporting event, even if it's the same group that screws over the local university. The LVCVA does not care. They exist for one reason, and that's to spend public money irresponsibly over and over and over, even if it's a big middle finger to UNLV. So the LVCVA is taking your money, taking my money, giving it to the conference that basically gave a big middle finger to UNLV. It's what they do. This has been Technically Correct. I'm Tyler Bischoff. Thank you so much for tuning. Oh, I lied. See, I told you. I said I had one last thing, and then I didn't do it. Now I did the whole sign off, and I'm not going to go back and take that out because this is more fun. I have a new job, part-time job. I am writing about the Raiders for Athlon Sports. So there's a bunch of stories up there. I should probably tweet about that at some point. But if you want to read things that I write about the Raiders, it'll be up at Athlon Sports, writing a bunch of content there every day at this point. So that is one of my new avenues of money, one of my new avenues of having a job. So yeah, if you want to read about the Raiders, go to Athlon Sports, find the Raiders tab, and I'll have a whole bunch of stories up there. This has been Technically Correct. Thank you so much for tuning in.